It is May 2nd, 2016?
That sounds right. Yeah,
Yes.
we'll say that sounds like as good a date as any.
And this is Three Men in an Anime. I am your host, Peter Bowman, and I'm joined by my co-hosts and good friends, Eric Carlson and Sonic Gav. Gav Leaf, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing all right.
I am okay.
Excellent. So, we are going to be doing one of Eric's recommendations this week, which was Black Lagoon. Um,
Yeah, I'm the guy that always chooses shows about terrible people.
I wouldn't say that Madoka Magica was about terrible people. It was just depressing.
It's about terrible things happening to terrible people.
There weren't that many terrible people in well, there was QB, but
Cuba's not a person.
no.
Okay, well, generally, terrible things happening to people, whether they're terrible or not themselves.
Terrible shit happens in the shows I choose.
Yes.
Yes. Well, didn't you pick One Punch Man for your first one?
That was all about a man's existential crisis and dealing with bureaucracy.
Also hilarity and punching things.
Yes. But yeah, I chose Black Lagoon because it's been a while since I've seen it, and Gav hadn't. So it's like, yeah, we'll watch Black Lagoon. That's lighthearted with all sorts of wonderfully fun scum and villainy and ridiculous action. And oh, I forgot about teen Wincest. Oh,
Yeah.
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 So Black Lagoon's a lot more bleak than I remember.
Yeah.
There's one way of putting it.
Yeah. The premise of the show is basically you've got these four yahoos that you see on the title card here. And they tool around the South China Sea in their torpedo boat, being pirates, mercenaries, freelance aggressive salvage teams, whatever pays the bills.
Yeah.
And is illegal.
If I remember correctly, their sort of stated general job is delivery.
They're a delivery company that sometimes does things outside the law to put food on the table.
The official word is if anybody of any sort of official capacity comes knocking, it's a delivery company. But what they deliver depends on who hires them.
Well,
exactly.
They're smugglers. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and they're not above, like you said, they're not above, piracy. They won't. They're the type of guys that they don't want trouble of their own, bringing down on them. They're not going to go out on their own accord and rob people for the sake of, profit. But if they're hired to do that, then it's like, well, that's a job.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's scum and villainy in all the fun ways. The main character is the guy in business casual, Rock, who's poor Rock. He really just wanted to. The first episode is basically just him trying to do his job for his company, and getting shanghaied by these guys, and his company cutting him loose. So, yeah, go off and die. We don't care. And hiring mercenaries to murder him and the Black Lagoon crew, and yeah. So, he ends up, well, I'm not going back to that job. They tried to kill me. At least you guys didn't try to kill me. Are you hiring?
Yeah.
Which they were, because during the whole ordeal, Rock proves himself to be smarter than the average bear and capable of not shitting himself in a crisis.
Yes.
Pretty much what you really need in this kind of job. And basically you have the two main characters, which are Rock and Remy, the woman in the title card.
Yeah, Revy, yep.
Revy's a murdering psychopath.
Yes.
She's a likable enough character, but she solves our little problems with violence and guns, and more violence and guns.
She likes explosions too.
Yeah, explosions. And she's really terrible at expressing her feelings, unless it involves expressing them with guns.
Yeah, she's really good at expressing violence and frustration.
And so Violence is her first language.
Yeah.
Sarcasm might be her second.
Yeah, she's pretty fluent in sarcasm, but everything else she kind of sucks at. And what I like about this show in particular is that it's very episodic. You have story arcs are 2 or 3 episodes long, and while they might affect what happens in future story arcs, and that you might have a throwaway line referring to them, or a character might come back, it's rarely something that you need prior knowledge for each story arc. So it's very much a drop in and watch whatever you want.
It's fair to say with this one, it's the characters themselves that evolve rather than the story.
Yes.
Yes.
As far as an overarching plot, there isn't a huge one, but there are considerable character arcs.
Yes.
Rock goes from being a very dangerously naive and trusting to a master manipulator and player of games. And Remy goes from being a rabid dog to just an angry junkyard dog. It's actually kind of
yeah. Throw her a side of bacon, she'll calm down.
Yeah, and it's funny because she gets referred to as a mad dog more and more through the show as she's shedding that part of her persona.
Yes,
it's actually vaguely ironic.
And she never completely loses that part of her.
Right, and
but
Rock never completely.
It starts
Rock
to take more and more
idealism either.
Yeah,
no.
It becomes tarnished, but he never drops it. He's still trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The other 2 characters who show up a lot, if they're part of the crew, Dutch and Benny.
Yeah. Benny's the blonde. He's their tech guy. He basically handles all their communication, their internet, any hacking or research that needs to be done. That's his job. Benny does not get involved. Drama happening on the deck? Don't care. Gang war? Don't care. Rock's taking some poor schmucko to try to help them? Don't care. Not getting involved. Not my problem. This is how Benny handles everything.
Yeah. Not my monkey.
So for the one time where Nazis was involved, then he was totally on board. And he's also Jewish. He's got a particular hate on.
Well, yeah. Plus the fact that it was only him and Dutch on the boat at the time, so he was kind of, Dutch was driving.
Dutch is probably one of my favorite side characters. He's pretty much a side character. He's smart as a bastard. Always keeps a cool head. Has excellent taste in booze. Like, there are a couple times when someone refers to what he's drinking or notices a bottle on the shelf.
It's never just rum or whiskey. It's always
it's always high end, difficult to acquire scotch. I'm like, damn, Dutch has good taste.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly well read. He'll regularly quote Chairman Mao or Nietzsche or what have you, and then follow it up with some curse-ridden bastardization of what he just said.
Yeah, I mean, there's a one point where Rock quotes a line from a philosopher that he heard from someone else, and Dutch says, "Oh, I know who that is. That's Sartre, right?"
Yep.
It's okay.
Yeah. Whatever Dutch's past was, he doesn't talk about it, but he's clearly much better educated than anyone else on the show.
Yeah, he does say on a few occasions he drives the boat, and he does say that he served in Vietnam. Whether that's actually true or not is up for debate.
Yeah.
But that's what he says. That's the only thing he ever talks about.
To be fair, he does get really twitchy and irritable once they go up the Mekong River in one story arc. Because, well, no happy memories for anyone involved in that.
Yeah. And he clearly knows how to drive a PT boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the captain and effective boss. So he's the guy that signs the check, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, the company is his.
Yeah.
They work. They're his employees.
and the myriad of other players. You've got the Russian mafia. This all takes place in the fictional city of Varanapur, which makes Mos Eisley seem like a pleasant family vacation spot.
Yes.
Yes. Best description ever.
Mos Eisley has nothing on Varanapur.
Yeah, Varanapur, like, you see stormtroopers patrolling in Mos Eisley. There are no cops. Well, there are cops, but the cops are actually just another gang.
Yeah, the cops pretty much do whatever they like, whatever they're paid to do, and report to whoever's currently in charge.
And they don't get involved.
They
say, we are not getting involved. As long as you're not doing something stupid out in front of everyone where we actually have to act, then
they'll deal
go ahead
with,
and do it. We don't care.
They'll deal with little street level pickpockets, but generally what they'll do is they'll shake them down and take whatever they've stolen.
Yeah.
If it's anything majorly illegal, like, armed trucks rolling through, they go, oh, well, that's probably the Russians.
Not our problem. We are not equipped to handle
not
this.
Our problem. Probably the Russians. The Russian mafia is this branch going by the name Hotel Moscow is another major player. They're run by Belalanka, who is terrifying and awesome, and I might have a crush on. I'm not sure.
Belalanka is one of the most just fascinating badasses I've seen in almost any. She's okay. Before we go any further, I want to say this: if we keep saying this person is a badass, we're going to keep saying it's going to get really repetitive. As a general rule of thumb, assume every character we talk about is a complete badass in some way.
So if
everyone is a badass. Everyone but Rock is terrifyingly proficient in violence.
Benny's not very good at violence either.
That's true. But like I said, Benny doesn't get involved.
Right. Benny is a badass hacker. Rock becomes a badass negotiator and manipulator. Revy is unmitigated engine of destruction, and basically nothing else.
There's probably actually the long-standing residents of Varanapur. There's probably about I remember there's probably about 6 or 7 characters that would be elevated above the badass.
Yeah.
There's
Belalanka
is probably one of the top ones there.
Yeah. Belalanka shows up in a story arc. She's not a character or manipulator. She's a force of nature. She's a storm.
Yeah.
Things fall before her like wheat. And not because of anything she's actually doing. She just happens to... Her inner circle consists entirely of former Spetsnaz paratroopers.
Yeah.
Like, terrifying individuals.
Yeah,
and she's a brilliant tactician.
Yes, she and her inner circle in Hotel Moscow, they're all ex-Spetsnaz who were basically, thrown out by they were basically made an example of by the government.
When the Soviets fell, they got hung out to dry, so they said, fuck it. We're going to organize crime, and we're going to Varanapur because fuck all you lot.
Plus,
pretty much.
Remember, this is... Well, the weird thing is, these are ex-Soviets, okay? To a man, they all, would drop dead in front of her.
Oh, yeah.
They have nothing but respect for her.
They're profoundly loyal to her.
And as much as a badass as we see these guys, we don't really see her do anything.
There is one moment when Rock pushes her buttons, and she one-handed throws him across the car and shoves a gun up his nose.
Yeah, she does toss around a couple of does toss around a couple of people barehanded, in impressive ways. And she knows how to set up and coordinate her troops, and she was in training to be in the Olympics for biathlon, so she's a phenomenal shot.
Not that she ever needs to lift a finger. She's got people for that.
Yes,
that's the scary thing. She's that sort of menace. It's like you never see her really lift a finger, but these guys.
Hotel Moscow's a storm. She's the eye of it.
Yeah, until something pisses her off.
Yeah, basically, and the other thing is that we know that she's a badass in terms of ability to do things because of how other people react around her.
Yeah.
It's a really good tool they use, because I remember thinking to myself, oh wow, halfway through, I was just thinking, we haven't actually seen her do anything. Is she that, and I realized that every time she came on screen, I was like, oh shit, shit's getting real as she showed up. And then I realized,
the
well, hang on,
cinematography in the show is actually very good, because
it's
the
like, she
blocking on
hasn't done
Bella
anything,
Lanka is always like, here is a terrifying menace.
Yeah.
Here is the monster for the episode.
They do a really good job of making you realize that she is a threat without her actually showing why.
Yeah.
And they let little hints slip every now and then.
Yeah, it's a really cold menace. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah, because you'll see other people demonstrate their badassery, and then Bella Lanka enters the scene. They're instantly deferential to her.
I mean, the best example is like Revy. We follow Revy.
Yeah.
We see the shit that she pulls off. She is a god.
Occasionally superhuman shit.
Yeah, she is a force of nature in and of herself. She does not fuck with Bella Lyka.
There are two people that she acknowledges as being better than she is, and one is Bella Lyka, and the other is Chang.
Yeah, Chang runs the triad in Ryanapur.
Yeah,
and he's not nearly as smart as he thinks he is, but is smarter than a lot of other people.
He's one of the smartest people on the island, and is not as smart as he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Just for context as well. Yeah, so we've covered that the Russian mafia has a major presence there, and then between it's them, the Chinese triads, and the Colombian cartels, all are basically in a three-way kind of balance for control of this entire city.
Right.
And it's pretty.
They're very careful not to fuck with the balance too much.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's primarily split between the triads and Hotel Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cartels are
Colombians,
involved, but yeah.
Yeah. The Colombians. Colombians are revolving door of idiots. Every time they try something goes horribly wrong, and it all goes downhill for them. But it's the Colombians, so they've always got more people to throw into the grinder.
Oh yeah, there is some presence of the Yakuza as well, but not nearly as much.
They're mostly in Japan. They mostly stay in Japan because they operate slightly differently than these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the story arcs involves them Rock and Remy going to Japan to act as translators for Bella Lanka dealing with the Yakuza. And the Yakuza are just like, what are you guys doing? What? No, this is not how we do things.
Yeah.
How did he even get that hardware into the country? But yeah. And I could go over every freaking character in this show.
Basically we got the main crew.
Yeah.
Bella is really important. Chang is really important.
And we should talk about the Ripoff Church.
And the Ripoff Church is another major player.
Yeah, who are they're Catholics.
It's a Catholic church with nuns.
It's a Catholic church, yeah. So they claim independence from all the violence. They operate above and beyond. They will deal with anyone. Everyone is welcome.
They're really good at selling guns. They really like moving guns. They're Catholic. They're really not Catholics. They wear habits. They have a church. That's pretty much all they do. No one goes to church except to buy guns.
Yeah, they use the liberties that the church can get in regards to shipping and moving products.
Yeah. I mean, they do actually allow various NGOs that are doing charitable work to move through there, and then use them to help smuggle their guns and drugs sometimes. But yeah, the two main people from the Ripoff Church are Sister Yolanda and Etta. Yolanda is this old woman wearing an eye patch who is amazingly awesome.
Yeah, Yolanda's pretty much just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. This is the price. This is what you're going to pay for it. This is how long it's going to take for you to get it.
She's a great businesswoman and very good negotiator, and she's the first to realize exactly how good Rock is going to be at what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, she toasts around a gold-plated 50 Magnum.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she's like, because awesome.
Yes. And Etta is basically her bodyguard.
Etta's got a secret that we're not going to talk about because you're going to have to figure it out yourself.
Yes.
But Edda comes on very much as another Remy, but there's a lot more to her.
Yeah, Edda basically fills Revy basically acts mostly as Rock's bodyguard through a lot of the show.
Yeah.
And Edda basically is basically that for, at least that's what she appears to be for Yolanda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a lot more to Edda, but it's a big reveal, and I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main the main role that she serves in the show for the most part is basically being an antagonist for Revy, because of everyone on the island. You know, the whole thing with the way Revy operates is she only respects people that can kill her.
Yeah.
And in Edda, she's got somebody that, you know, has, you know, she's a rival, competitive, but she's happy to then go and have a, you know, and drink with her and have a chat with her.
Yeah,
and all
Edda's probably her best friend that's not on the crew.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they're all dicks to each other, and, you know, and quite happily will do things that could probably get the other one killed, but they're probably good enough to get out of it anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, the phrase vitriolic best buds leaps to mind.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Best frenemies. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because of you know, Revy's attitude, Etta is the one that loves to poke it.
Oh, God,
she
yes.
loves to poke the bear.
She's very, very good at it.
Mm.
Yeah, she spends half the time winding her up about any sort of relationship between her and Rock. Saying, you know, have you sampled the goods yet, or this sort of thing. If you don't jump in soon, I will, just to try and get a reaction out of her, to make her jealous, all this sort of stuff. And for some reason, that seems to be the only subject that Revy ever gets embarrassed about. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. Shut up.
Well, that comes back to Revy being terrible at expressing her emotions.
Yeah,
Because she clearly cares a great deal for Rock.
yeah.
And can only ever express it by telling him, don't get your fucking ass killed, because it's going to be a hard time for me, so don't do it.
Yeah. But watching Edda just wind her up is hilarious.
Mm.
Oh, God, yes. But yeah, you know, so you got and the show basically primarily focuses on, as we said, you know, focuses on the adventures of the Lagoon crew.
Yep.
And it's, you know, there are several sort of small arcs, and it covers, counting the OVAs, which we watched, it covers a total of 29 episodes.
Right, and we did the OVAs largely because that was where Rock completed his character arc.
Yeah, well, also it's basically just a continuation of the series. I mean, and it's only 5. It was only 5 more episodes. So this is actually the longest series of episodes we'll be covering on the show. So, or at least
unless someone decides to do like a shonen series because they hate me.
There's one I'm considering, and I was only going to do the first season.
Okay.
Yeah, generally we do try and limit to a season when we're doing his picks, or at least I do anyway.
Yeah,
same.
And so, you know, there are some shows that, like this one, for example, it kind of needed that continuation.
It did.
And like I say, it was only 2 seasons anyway, with a lead on, you know, with a few OVAs, so it wasn't really that much past of a normal 25 episode season. So
plus the OVAs let us revisit one of the more fun characters from the series.
And there are a couple of sort of recurring characters who show up. Talking like about this thing, they're basically. I don't want to sort of. I don't think we should go. We're not going to do sort of an episode by episode recap or anything like that.
No.
It's
that
a very
would be
episodic show
forever, and I am not up for that.
Yeah, that only happens when I get talking.
There are a few. There are a couple of important story arcs we should touch on, though.
Yeah.
The first sort of arc that I think needs to be talked about is the Nazi arc.
Right.
Yeah.
The
short.
Illinois Nazis in the South China Sea. That's
literally Illinois Nazis.
Well, they're not literally from Illinois, but they might be. I don't know.
Level,
if you've ever
level
seen
of competency.
If you've ever seen the Blues Brothers, every bit with the neo-Nazis, that's these guys.
Yeah.
And that's clearly what they're referencing with them.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the arc basically, what's important about that arc is because you learn a lot about Remy and how she handles things. Because The Lagoon crew finds out about a downed German U-boat
No, they're
carrying
hired.
some sort of
They're
important
specifically hired
artifact.
to go there.
Yeah, and they're hired to go and recover an artifact from there. This artifact being a painting. Why is it important? Don't ask questions. Just go down and get the fucking artifact out of the U-boat. So Rock, who has previous scuba diving experience, his scuba diving experience being shallow water reef diving because pretty things.
Once on vacation.
Once on vacation.
Once on vacation, he dived to a coral reef. Yeah, and supervised. And
so now you're gonna go spelunking underwater in a downed U-boat.
Literally, sorry, what's his name? The main guy, the boss,
or
Dutch. Yeah, sorry. I mean, we names. Dutch literally hears that once he goes, "Oh, that'll come in useful." Next scene, just lugging scuba gear onto the boat. He's like, "I did it once."
It's more than mean Benny. You're going down.
Revy's an experienced diver, and you're number 2. Good luck, kid. But okay.
So they get out to the U-boat. Revy and Rock head down to find the artifact, and another boat shows up, which is filled with Nazis. Because why wouldn't it be filled with Nazis?
just to give you that one extra impression, yeah. Like you say, anything to do with, if you've seen the Blues Brothers, you know what these guys are like. They're listening to Wagner. They all carry Lugers. They wear full uniform, even on this fucking it's like a fucking expedition boat they're on. It's not like a military vessel at all.
Yeah, it's a yacht. They have a yacht.
It's a yacht, yeah. But yeah, they are so overly stereotypical. I'm surprised the captain wasn't in his cabin painting a fucking Maltese Falcon. You know what
I mean? No, eagle, Gav. It'd be an eagle.
Eagle. Sorry, yeah. You know what I mean. Yeah. I'm mixing my movies. Sorry.
Right. So these yahoos on the yacht managed to drive them off because they might be yahoos on a yacht, but they're yahoos on a yacht with artillery. They fired a series of tow missiles at them and drive off the Lagoon crew, leaving Rock and Revy stuck in the submarine. So Revy's been running around looting the corpses, going, "Hey, vintage Nazi gear! I know guys will pay top dollar for this shit." Rock's just like, can't you just? I mean, I know they're Nazis, but can't you just leave them in peace? And yeah, Revy goes into her fucked up background and basically tells Rock, "Don't judge her."
He's a little bit, like I say, a little more in depth than that, because he actually starts basically he's still got the mindset of a city business guy, an average human being, saying, "Oh, these are the dead, you should respect the dead," and he starts trying to force, not force, but basically starts talking from a high and mighty, "I'm a good person. You should respect the dead," sort of thing. And Revy basically, I think the line is, "The next time you tell me how I'm supposed to act, I'm going to kill you."
Yeah.
Or something like that. Something to that effect.
And that's really what's important about the episode, is because that ends up coloring a couple their relationship a couple arcs in, until Rock calls her on her bullshit because she's acting like a spoiled brat, not talking to him and being a spoiled brat.
From that moment on, she gets into a really, it kind of like, "Oh, he thinks I'm this fucking psycho animal. Fine, I'll be a psycho animal.
Right.
How dare he judge me?" kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
if he thinks I'm a monster, I'll be a monster.
Right.
Yeah.
So the long story short, I mean, they have their conversation. The Nazis come down, get the painting. They chase them up. Rock manages to pull Revy away before she gets shot by the Nazis from the surface into the water.
Right.
And they get recovered by the crew, and Dutch basically says, "Okay, well, at night we're going to go there while they're partying and get the painting back, because that's the job we were hired to do."
And kill everyone on board, because let's face facts, no one on this boat likes Nazis. I'm a black man. Benny's Jewish. Fuck these guys.
Fuck the Nazis is practically a family motto for Benny, as he says.
Yeah.
When Dutch and Revy board the ship, Revy kind of goes all psycho killer.
She kind of loses her shit.
Yeah, she starts enjoying it a little bit too much.
It's not so much even enjoying it so much. She starts taking stupid risks to get quicker, more spectacular kills.
Yeah.
And Dutch calls her on it. It's like, what the fuck is going on? You're not this stupid.
I thought the line he says, I don't remember hiring Charles fucking Whitman.
Yeah.
Charles Whitman is a known serial sniper killer type guy.
Yeah.
If this is what you really want to do, just go climb a fucking clock tower and shoot until you're satisfied.
Because Dutch is much more educated than anyone else in the show.
Yes. I love Dutch so much.
Dutch is awesome. But of course, during all this, they find the Oberfuhrer, or whatever they called him,
The captain.
on the phone with the guy who set them on this little quest. Yep. Who happens to be the guy that hired the Lagoon crew. You know, he just wanted to really make sure he got the painting.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure he got the painting, and B, he wanted to see if the Nazis, these Nazis who wanted into the world, because he's a Nazi,
right,
wanted into his sort of connections, and the connections he has actually deserved it. So he set it up against somebody, and they lost, which he kind of expected, because he thought they were kind of losers.
Yeah,
right.
this thing, he's a genuine World War II Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, genuine guy. And these are wannabes that just wanted to be, you know, we wanted to be Nazis. And this dude is like, the conversation he ends up having with Dutch.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, because he insists on talking to Dutch on the phone.
Yeah.
Because the captain's like, put the black man on. I want to talk to him.
That's how he refers to him the entire time.
Yeah. And shows Dutch a remarkable amount of respect, but never lets him forget that as far as he's concerned, he's of inferior stock.
The original
I
Japanese.
was kind of gnashing my teeth at this guy at the same time.
In the original Japanese, the term he refers to Dutch is jungle bunny.
That I didn't know.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, the translation we got was polite.
Yeah.
Put it this way: if this ever got a re-release nowadays, that conversation would be very different than what it actually is.
But the long story short, I mean, they do a really good job portraying this guy as actually someone who was an actual Nazi. I mean,
but
it
all makes sense.
Yeah,
but a smart one too is the thing. I mean, and he's fully acknowledged that. Yeah, this guy who I think is subhuman is far more competent than these fucking morons who wanted to join. God, it's just a shame you were born black, is what he says. And Dutch is like,
it's actually exactly the line he uses.
And they sort of sign off with each other, basically saying, I'm fervently wishing that that you and all people like you will be wiped off the face of the earth soon. And Dutch says, you too, buddy. Feel exactly the same way about you.
The funny bit is, because it's down to Dutch, Revy, and the captain. They put a gun in front of them, and they're both leaning against the bulkhead, and they're like, so what do you think? It's going to go black. What do you think? No contest. He's going to go black.
And so
the captain picks up the gun, goes to shoot himself in the head, and then starts trying to shoot Dutch. That doesn't have any bullets in it because they're obviously.
Because
At which point they start cracking up and go, "Yep, had to be black," and blow him to pieces.
But the last really important bit about this arc is the little conversation right at the end as they're signal for the Lagoon to come pick them up, where Revy basically says, it's talking about where she is with Rock at this point, because Black says, Dutch. I was thinking I looped into the show we're currently watching there.
Yes.
I was about to say Jet Black, and I'm like, wait, no, Dutch.
There's a clue.
So Revy's basically says, he says, you get like this whenever anyone new joins the crew. The exact same thing happened with Benny, and Revy's like, yeah, I'll be good from now on. Don't worry about that. But it's not that I don't like Rock. Far from it. I do. It's just I don't think I can partner with him.
I can't work with that guy.
I can't work with him. He's we're not from the same world, basically. It's like
and so of course the first thing Dutch does is put them on a mission together.
Yes, yes. Because Dutch, while kind of an asshole sometimes, is really good at his job. And he's like, okay, this is going to be a problem. I'm going to make them work together until they work this shit out because I can't afford to have our 4-person crew be like this.
Yeah, I can't afford this kind of interpersonal bullshit on such a small crew.
Honestly, it's the military way to sort it out. Two guys have got problems, you make them work it out.
Yeah,
you don't have them. You don't give them cotton wool. You don't separate them. You make them work it out. Because chances are, it will be resolvable. They've just got to get their heads out their asses.
Yep. And
the other arc I want to talk about, because it was just so goddamn fun.
Oh, before we get to that, though, I do want to touch on.
Maid.
Yeah, before we get to that, though, I do want to touch on the end of the episode where Rock and Revy are forced to work together. Because that is the beginning of, the two of them, their actual, the two of them actually, realize, beginning to be able to work together. Because basically it ends with, Rock and Revy sitting, the two of them sitting down at an outdoor restaurant, and Rock showing the food. And Revy basically telling him, okay, look, just give me the keys, I'm going to go back, you walk back. And Rock's like, no. And basically, he basically says to her, I'm done apologizing to you.
Yeah, I'm sick of your bullshit. We're just not listening to you anymore. And they start shouting, and weapons are fired because it's Revy.
Yeah, Revy pulls a gun, points it at his head, and basically says, "What do you want your last words to be? What do you want your words to be?" It says, "There's no cure for a fucking idiot." Basically.
Yeah.
Revy goes to shoot him, and Rock basically grabs her hand and pulls it out of the way.
Yeah.
And he basically just proceeds to dress her down and tell her exactly how full of shit she is, and how just the worst thing about all of this is that she's treating him the way the person who basically, she's the one who offered the job on the spot on the crew. She's the one who basically has who freed him from the bullshit his life was, is the way he looks at it, and has got him to start living.
And now she's treating him just like the exact same kind of disposable trash that his former company did.
And you could just see Revy going, "Oh my God, he's right." Like she can never, she would never be able to say that. But again, it's in her eyes. She's just like, "Oh God."
Yeah, well, Revy can't admit she's wrong, and she can't express emotion without violence. So, yeah.
Yeah, she punches him, but
yeah,
which she knows sounds like a boss.
Yeah.
Doesn't even flinch.
Yeah.
At which point the cops show up and arrest him for, causing a disturbance. And Revy's like, yeah, fine, okay.
Well, the cops actually say, seriously, in the middle of the fucking cafe? Guns in the middle of the This is not downtown, come on.
And,
not take you in. You're making me do my job, and I hate that.
I love his little quote that, you got pulled me away from my golf game. Come on. Which I think is actually what sort of made Revy sort of back down of that. She's like, oh God, I didn't mean him. Fuck.
I'm causing trouble for someone who didn't deserve it. Whoops.
And so they get hauled off, and Rock and Revy actually have a fairly sweet moment in the back of the police cruiser.
Yeah, where they share a cigarette because they're out of cigarettes.
Yeah, and also Revy asks him just like, okay, she has this wonderful little bit where she says, I'm just gonna ask you this one thing, and then we're done. Are you, which side are you on? And Rock's like, I'm not really. I'm where I am right now. I'm here standing where I'm sitting, and she's like, all right, I can work with that. He makes it very clear that while he's not like a crook, he's definitively not against her.
Yeah.
That and that she can trust him. And it's a really sweet little scene, honestly.
Yeah.
But then the next arc, the other arc you want to talk about, Eric, was
the other arc, because it's just so goddamn fun, is the Murder Maid arc.
Oh God, yeah. Where Roberta shows up. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So the Lagoon crew has to transport a package. The package happens to be
A kid.
some aristocratic kid from South America. And there's his maid walking around Ranipur dressed like a maid, going, "Hi, I'm given to understand that there are Colombians in the area. I'm looking for my countrymen. Could you show me where they are?" Very polite, very, very formal.
Yeah, to be fair,
What the
this is Spanish
fuck?
made, not French made.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's full long floor length skirt, demurely
The
dressed,
high
everything's
collar,
covered, high
yeah.
collar.
And glasses.
The lace around the neck and cuffs. Yeah.
Yes, and like everyone she talks to is just sort of going, okay, this woman is
What?
either crazy, stupid, both, or I should be really scared right now. I don't know how to handle this. I'm going to pass her along to someone else.
Yeah, I'm saying, and unfortunately, very few of them take that last option.
At which point, she eventually shows up at the bar, this poor bar. I think it's called the Yellow Flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
Anytime there's a scene in the Yellow Flag, you know there's going to be some sort of horribly destructive gunfight, because that's what happens there. I feel so bad for the bartender.
It really needs to be just changed to the fucking white flag and just call it.
Yeah. Well, it happens to be where like a good chunk of the Colombian cartel is hanging out.
Yeah,
Hi.
she goes there to ask for directions to them, to the cartel. The cartel has heard that someone's asking about addresses they made. They walk into the bar,
Right.
which is where you see her. She's holding the beer mug she's got, and the mug shatters in her hands. You also get to look at the actual musculature on her arm, and you realize, this might not be a normal maid.
Mind you, you can see the muscles standing out on her arm. She's wearing full-length sleeves, and not particularly tight ones.
Yeah. And all this, but while this is going on, like the kid Garcia is telling the crew about his life, and the maid, Roberta, his maid, is going to come for him, and keeps saying that she's really strong, way stronger than Revy, and Revy just is like laughing uproariously and actually actively hoping that she's even like one half as good as Skid thinks she is, because it might make things entertaining for her.
So they show up at the Yellow Flag right around this time, because they're going up for drinks. Where else would they go? The Yellow Flag, where all the gunfights happen.
Just to preface just one last time before we get into this, as much as we mentioned about the badasses, the vast majority of them in this series are the women.
Yes.
Fear the women in this show.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, Balalaika, Revy, Edda, Shinwei,
Roberta. Shenlong.
Shenlong. Oh my god, she's amazing. I love her.
Shenlong's so much fun. But we're talking about Roberta at the moment.
Yes.
Roberta, who's walking around with an umbrella and a suitcase, turns around as they're basically the Colombian cartel guys are basically giving her crap, and then she points her umbrella at them, and of course there's a shotgun in it.
Because why wouldn't there be? Which is probably which leads to one of Revy's greatest lines.
Yes.
Dutch, I know what I want for Christmas.
They have literally just walked into the bar as that's gone off, and Revy's seen this shotgun umbrella. She's like, oh.
I want it! I want it! I want it! I want it! Revy likes her guns.
And one of the
lot.
most beautifully animated gunfights I've seen in a very long time happens.
Yes. As Roberta basically goes just engine of destruction.
Mm.
She goes full on gun fu berserker on these guys.
It turns out the long, the floor length skirt, not just being traditional maid outfit, is really good at hiding weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
and the suitcase has a submachine gun in there, because why wouldn't it?
Right. And meanwhile, the Black Lagoon crew is basically hiding out behind a table because they're like, we're not getting involved in this.
This is not our bag. This is totally not our fault.
It's like Dutch is saying, okay, so
Roberta, what? Oh, fuck.
But before that, though, I love the bit where Dutch basically says, okay, so we gotta. I guess we'll go up through the front door. It's now filled with Colombian cartel guys who've shown up to back up their buddies, and we can't get out that way. Fuck. Guess we'll use the back door. Which is when when Garcia calls out to Roberta and attracts their attention. Got your
It's like,
attention.
oh fuck.
Oh shit.
Rock tries to talk Roberta down.
Which
Revy,
is not
being Revy, takes Garcia hostage and basically says, "Look, I don't want to kill the kid. We just want to get the hell out of here. If you just stand there, we'll walk out. We'll let him go. You can take him back to South America, and everything will be okay. Okay?" And Roberta's not having any of that.
no. I do not negotiate with terrorists. We're not terrorists. We're pirates and smugglers, not terrorists. Know the difference.
We want to get out of here alive. God damn it.
Which leads to a great chase sequence where Rock's constantly making Terminator references,
But the important bit before that,
as well as the anime, because it's stealing scenes straight out of Terminator 2.
Yes. The other important bit
Yes.
though is that as Revy basically realizes that Roberta's going to shoot her, ditches the kid, runs. She launches a grenade at from an RPG she's gotten somewhere at Revy, which explodes and knocks her out.
Yeah, so Revy spends this entire fight unconscious in the backseat of the car. Because they grab her and they stuff her in the car, along with Garcia, because...
Yeah.
Garcia
Because of
basically
that-
said Garcia's freaked the fuck out because Roberto's never been like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps on saying Roberta's so... But she's nice and kind of klutzy, and this is not Roberta.
As they pull around, they get back into the car. They look over at the bar, and because of that RPG, it's just it's a burning mess.
Well,
of
she also
rubble and everything.
drops a bunch of grenades at one point at
Yes.
the end of the fight.
Yeah, she's got like a drawstring on her waist, which she pulls and drops all the grenades that were hidden under her skirt.
And the bar
Like I
explodes.
said, I feel sorry for the
Yeah.
bar. I feel
And-
sorry for the bartender.
And Dutch makes a line in saying, I wouldn't be surprised to see that bitch walk out of there without a scratch on her, and pulls away.
Then she does.
Then she does.
To which I'm instantly just
Backlit
like,
with flames, the dramatic music swelling.
At that,
It's
at
just
that
like,
time,
oh.
I distinctly remember all of us, just in my head, just going dun 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 dun
Right.
dun dun dun. dun.
Rock then makes his joke about her being the Terminator.
Yes,
And then she starts through the T-1000 chase on foot after the car. Well, first she steals the
Yes.
car, chasing them.
yes,
And it's like, we get repeated bits of, as Gav said, scenes stolen from the Terminator movies. chasing the
she
Terminator.
at one point
Yeah.
she pulls out, it's either crowbars or just a hooked. It's a hooked spike.
She pulls out a pair of survival knives with
trench knives. They're trench knives. The
Trench
studded
knives.
guards. Yeah, that's it.
So
the
the
studded
bit
guards,
where the
and
T1000 grabs hold of the back of the car and starts pulling itself up
that's exactly
until-
what she does.
until somebody shoots her away, and the only thing left is one of the trench knives.
And she's on the roof.
And she's on the roof.
The best part about that though is like as Dutch is aiming to shoot her, Garcia's like, "Don't shoot her, buddy." He's like, "Kid, if I thought this was gonna kill her, I wouldn't bother." It's not like this is going to kill her. I know it's not. I'm just trying to get her off the car. There's a bit where she's chasing the car and like she pulls up alongside Dutch, basically leaning out to shoot at her. She grabs Dutch's arm and starts pulling him out of the car. Dutch is a very,
Yes.
very, very large man.
Yes. She one arms him.
Dutch is like, "What the fuck is going on?" He's like trying to get her to let go and he has trouble doing it. He's like,
Eventually, everything comes to a head in at the docks with a bunch of cargo containers.
yeah, they
And
crash.
Bella Lankar and her crew shows up because, of course, the guys who.
But before that happened, they crash.
Yes.
Oh, don't forget the driving on the roof bit as well.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
God.
right. Yes.
Yeah, she chases them driving on the roofs.
How
in
does
a
he get
wreck-
on the roof? Who the fuck cares? It's awesome.
Right. They crash. She goes flying into a cargo container. They all go, "Oh God, is she dead? I don't. Probably not. Oh God, look back, she's gone." Like, oh, for fuck's
Yeah.
sake. At which point, Revy finally wakes up and asks, "Is that bitch still alive?" They're like, "Yes, she is. Please save us." And ensue giant fight between the two of them, where they basically fight each other to a standstill.
Yeah.
Roberta actually wings Revy and hits her in the arm, shoots her in the arm. Revy actually destroys one of Roberta's pistols. And they're both like, "The fuck? Who is this person?" And
At
they're
which point, Bella Lankar and her crew show up, and they're like, "Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. You're all gonna calm down. You're out of ammo anyway because we counted."
Yeah, the two of them are
And,
lying on the ground with guns pointed at each other.
Yeah. and you're gonna take the kid and go home because, well, thanks for taking care of the Colombians. They're kind of giving you a problem anyway.
At this point, Revy and Roberta are like having none of it, and so Balalaika has their gun shot out of their hands. Because of course she does. And she says, "Did that sound like a request? It was an order." And Revy's like, "Okay, look, all this is all well and good, but we've got a score to settle." And Balalaika's like, "Okay, that's got a valid point." Dutch suggests, "Why don't the two of you just fight barehanded against each other until one of you is knocked out or gives up?" And Balalaika's like, "That's a great idea."
That sounds like fun. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And Roberta and Revy are down
And
totally
they
down with it.
square off, and Roberta's like, "Your shoe's untied." What? Whap! Sucker punch.
And God bless Rock. He tries to. He's just like, well, this isn't right. We can't let women fight. Dutch is like, well,
This is barbaric.
if you wanna try, I'm not gonna stop you.
Rock walks up and says, "Maybe you guys should stop." They both look at him like, "Fuck you." Look at him tell him fuck off, and he's like, "Yeah, I should have seen that coming."
Yeah, I'm going back over here to the sidelines.
And they're all betting. By the way, everyone else is all betting on who's going to win.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
fight goes on, and
on.
it cuts away, and it goes on, and it cuts away, and to Balalaika yawning, this is great at first, but I'm bored now.
Standing in a pile, like there's a pile of discarded cigar butts around her because she.
Yeah, there's just piles of used up tobacco products around the entire cast.
Yeah, that's the
everyone
thing
in the
with
show
Balalaika. That's her thing. She wears basically a business dress kind of thing, but with the great, the German, it's not German, the Russian like trench,
The
great
Russian
coat.
great coat.
the great
over her
coat,
shoulders.
and
And she
always
smokes
has
cigars.
not a cigarette, a cigar.
Because she's
Balalaika-
awesome.
Because Balalaika's fucking awesome. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
here.
she's always smoking a cigar, and by the time we get back to this fight, there's about a dozen just by her feet.
Yeah.
The fight ends in with the classic. They punch each other at the same time and fall over.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Balalaika's it's a draw, and turns out not quite, because Roberta's not actually unconscious. I'm not sure Revy's unconscious. I think she just fell asleep.
It's exhausting fighting someone for the implied amount of time there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God. And
And
basically,
Garcia and Roberta fly away back to South America, never to be seen again.
right, totally.
I am lying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Balalaika basically says, "Look, we'll drive you out to the port. You drive you out to the airport. You'll get an airplane. You'll leave, and it's all fine. I promise nothing bad will happen to you." In fact, she turns to her sergeant and says, "Sergeant, if anybody fucks with them, kill them." And he's like, "Yep."
Gotcha. We don't want more of this shit happening.
Let's not piss this woman off any more than we are. Let's not have this woman pissed off anymore. We really don't need that.
And that's probably the most lighthearted and hilarious story arc.
It is. The Nazi arc was actually mostly fun, with the exception of it had a couple of dramatic moments.
Right.
Uh,
But the
Greenback
Murder
Jane-
Maid arc.
And the arc that follows it, the one with Jane, is also mostly fun.
Yeah.
It's season 2 where shit starts really hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the really fucked up bleakness that is the Vampire Twins.
Yeah, we don't go into too much detail on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
an arc,
really fucked up and bleak,
and
and
it's
has Ballanca being terrifying.
abjectly
Yeah.
horrifying.
Kneel. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. The final 2-part arc of the first season involves the CIA. Basically, it's where we get introduced to Chang. We get to see how badass Chang is. Chang is yet another person Revy looks up to as a complete badass. And
Right.
Basically, he's got some documents that he wants. He basically wants to. He's selling to the CIA, so he basically hires the Lagoon Company to get it to them. Rock gets kidnapped. Revy saves him. She meets Shenhua, who is fucking amazing.
Yeah. Shenhua has terrible English.
She does.
Like,
She's Chinese.
she's Taiwanese. She's
You're
very proud about being pure-blooded Taiwanese,
You're right,
and that's why
Taiwanese.
she doesn't bother to learn proper English, because why should I have to?
Yeah.
Right. You know, she and Revy immediately develop a hate on for each other.
Yes.
Because Revy basically, insults her for bad English and she basically, well, okay, and she basically immediately said, okay, if you're gonna be that way, fuck you, asshole.
Yeah.
Fuck you,
Well,
you're a slut. How do you know
well,
I'm a
yeah.
slut? Because you're a slut.
Yeah. She spends all her time calling Revy a slut whore.
A Twinkie also.
Twinkie, yeah.
Twinkie.
Yeah, yellow on the outside, white on the inside, because Revy's Chinese American.
Yes. And then for her part, Revy refuses to use her real name and just calls her Chinglish.
Yes.
Yes.
The other important bit is that Shenhua fights with knives. She doesn't use
Fights with
guns.
2 giant fuck-off kukris.
Yes, and a bunch of throwing knives and shit.
Yeah.
And,
Kukri's on chains. She's fucking Scorpion.
Yes. And she's really good with them.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that's the other problem is that Revy's all about guns and Shenhua's all about blades.
So clearly, one is better than the other.
Right.
So that's why we also can't get along. Except when they do, because they do occasionally get along.
Well, they do eventually in this episode, this limited arc, they develop a grudging respect for each other's skills. It's just like,
Yes.
oh, okay, she actually really is that good. All right, I can't hate her that much for that then. Still, fuck you, you're a bitch.
Yeah.
Which what leveled at Revy kind of is true. Revy's kind of a bitch.
Revy's a bitch. There's more to her than that, but yeah, she's a bitch.
Well, especially the people she doesn't like.
Yeah.
Or doesn't know, really.
And she's not very good with people she does like either.
No,
like I said, she expresses her affection with violence. She expresses her displeasure with people with violence. All of her expressions involve violence.
And sarcasm.
And sarcasm. Violence and sarcasm.
And lots of swearing.
If she's feeling particularly gentle, she will just give you scathing sarcasm.
Also lots of profanity.
Yeah. Yeah, Revy uses fuck as pronunciation.
It really is. Fuck is a comma for her in a lot of ways. But yeah, so yeah, Shenhua shows up a couple of times here and there after that, but she's not an important character. She's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's just a lot of fun. She's probably the most happy-go-lucky person on the show, because she's never not smiling or cracking jokes.
Yeah, and she kind of ends up in a group with 2 other, she's a hitman basically.
Yeah.
She eventually shows up again, and later on she shows up having fallen into a group of 2 other, quasi hitmen, and one of whom is
complete schmucks.
One of whom is primarily a cleaner, her main thing is dealing with disposing of dead bodies. And Sawyer's very, very good at that. And Lawton the Wizard, who is the most incompetent hitman ever, but is also a complete sweetheart.
The man insists on striking poses and giving speeches before he fights, which usually just results in him getting filled full of bullets, which is why he's learned to wear a vest.
But that's
he
one of
gets
the
shot.
things as well.
Yeah, he gets shot.
Yeah,
go ahead, Gav.
He's basically he's the character that would show up in most animes.
Oh,
he's trying to be the anime badass.
Right.
One thing that Black Lagoon does a real good job of. This is real life. It's like somebody goes to a gunfight and decides to pose and talk shit. They're gonna get shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and it's a plus side for him. He does wear.
There's no honor in this.
No. He wears a bulletproof vest though. He got shot in the chest. He's like, oh god, that hurt. And he sees Shenhua lying there bleeding out from being shot by Revy. And he basically says, I'll get you to a doctor. And she's like, what? Why? Because you're hurt and I've got no reason to want you dead. And she's like, wait, you're actually like being a nice guy. What the fuck? How the hell have you survived in Rodopur this long?
And then they pick up
Sawyer freaking out, having lost her. Sawyer's mute because she had her vocal cords cut, and she's got one of those little vocoder things. and she's lost it, and she's basically catatonic. So he's like, yeah, well, I'll make sure she gets back to safety too. And the three of them end up basically, hanging out together and become.
There's a great scene where Revy calls Shenhua for backup on something, and it's Shenhua complaining about being pulled out of the shower to answer the phone while Sawyer and Wizard sit there playing video games.
Right. Because they've become friends. Somehow. Well, again, Shenhua is actually, at her core, actually not that bad. I mean, she's an assassin.
Yeah, Shenhua is about as nice a person as you're going to find in Ronipur.
Her and Lawton is probably the nicest person in Ronipur, probably.
Yeah.
He's just a
And
schmuck.
Sawyer's kind of weirdly adorable the way goblins sometimes are.
Yes. But yeah, so there are two other arcs the last two arcs. There's the OVA arc, which is basically it's mostly about Roberta, but everyone shows up. And the other one is the longest arc in the series, Gangland Paradise, which is where they go to Japan.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most depressing arc in the show.
Yeah, but it's a Yakuza episode that just happens to have
it's basically a 6-episode long Yakuza movie. It goes exactly the way you would. If you know anything about Yakuza movies, it hits all those beats, which means it ends in tragedy. I don't want to spoil anything beyond that. Basically, Rock trying to decide whether he's going to, Revy thinks Rock's there.
They're constantly making metaphors regarding Rock about him standing in the twilight instead of going into the day or the night.
Yeah. And, he's trying to still. It's like
he's trying to ride that edge.
Yeah, he wants to be part of this world, but he doesn't want to be a bad person, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And and there's a bit where he basically is trying to save somebody through a lot of it, and he basically asks, basically tries to convince Balalaika to
help him with this.
And she basically, this is where she grabs him and slams him in the car hood and points a gun at him. And he basically talks his way out of it by pointing out that, no, I'm not that different from you. I'm trying to save these people because it's my hobby.
It's kind of what I do when I'm bored.
Is at this point, that's sort of where
A word of advice. If someone's got a gun to your head, you either need to keep them talking, give them a reason to not pull the trigger, or at least make them laugh.
And
this is Balalaika, probably one of her best lines.
Oh, it's a great line. You're watching Balalaika, and she's the thing is she's got the gun, and she's very clear she's willing to shoot Rock, but it's also very clear she has no actual malice towards him in this.
She's also enjoying the situation. She spends the entire thing with a slight predatory grin.
Oh god, well she's definitely a complete predator in the scene, but it's very clear she actually likes Rock.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is the thing is that a lot of the people in the big players in Ronipur actually end up taking a liking to Rock because of he's a fundamentally likable guy.
Yeah.
And Balalaika is very early on recognized that Rock is smart and capable, and she actually in the first the end of the first mini arc basically says if you ever need help come to us because she very clearly has sort of thinks she sees potential in Rock.
She sees a lot of potential in him.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone with a brain sees potential in Rock.
Yes. But she points out in this bit where she's got him in the car that look, you're not a member of Hotel Moscow. You're not one of my comrades. So why exactly
Why should I put up with any kind of shit from you?
And Rock basically makes her laugh. But also he points out that it's also abundantly clear he's not actually completely bullshitting when he says that.
Yeah.
And Balalaika lets him go at that point, and eventually he later on basically comes up with a better version of his plan, which was far more ruthless than he originally planned. And which Balalaika's like, wow, I didn't think you'd get there this fast.
Well done.
Well done. And she's got this very look of I'm actually moderately attracted to you in this moment. That's kind of weird. It's very clear that that's the look, and she's like, huh, wow. Didn't see that coming. Well, I've already taken care of the plan the way I was going to do it anyways. It's a bit late for your idea. Sorry, but should work out for. Also, the person who tried to help has come up with her own answer to the problem and has enacted it already. So
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Shit's already hit the fan. Nice try, though.
I really like your idea. It's just your timing's awful. Sorry, kid. And Rock's like, well, damn.
Yeah, one of the things I also like about the show, because this is not necessarily the show, but the relationship between Revy and Rock. Revy's completely blind to Rock's slow fall.
Yes.
She's completely blind to it. She thinks only the best of him, and when other people point it out, she gets upset and refuses to believe it.
Yeah.
Well, if it goes on, it's basically about that sort of point we realise that, yeah, it's because, for the most part, Revy's kind of been using him. As much as he's coming down, she's coming up.
Yeah.
And she's kind of become her shining... Sorry, he's become her shining light kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, something to aim for, something, a better person kind of thing. And then she starts getting reminded that, well, hang on, your little target is actually coming closer and closer to where you are already.
Well, that's the thing. There's a symbiosis there because Rock looks at Revy and sees the consummate survivor, and that will do anything that she needs to get by. And like, yes, I can do that. That's what I should aim for. As
they're basically balancing each other out from their extremes. They're eventually going to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I like about their relationship. That's what I really like about them. They're one another's goals.
Well, this is one of the weird things as well that I really liked about the way that they handled those two is that they never go down the pandering, unrequited love sort of thing. This is not what these people are.
Yeah.
And they do a
they don't bullshit around.
They don't go. They don't, start going through that all will they, won't they sort of bullshit. It's not what it's about. There's one great scene that I noticed, which was the start of one of the arcs. I think it was the one with the documents.
Yep.
And Revy is basically just trashed out of her brain, hungover. She's asleep in a room, and Dutch sends Rock in to go get her.
Yep.
Now, Revy never changes. Okay, the only thing she does when she sleeps is she takes her shorts off. Yeah. And Rock walks into the room and she's like that. She's just bare ass, whatever, no sheets, no whatever. And he doesn't react. Like in any other anime, but like, oh God, that bullshit.
Oh, I'm seeing a female cast member with their underwear. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
It's like, I got no time for your shit, Revy. Get up.
He has to try and get through a room. He has to move one of her bras. There's no mention of it other than he does it. There
are also guns everywhere, but
guns everywhere. Yeah, he leans on the bed and leans over her to under her window, so there's light coming in to get her out of bed. Again, there's no, like again in these sort of animes, it's like, oh, he's slipped and fallen on her. Now he's on top of her. He's got his face in her cleavage or all this sort of shit. None of that bullshit happens. It's just a case of he leans over her, turns on, and she's like, oh, for fuck's sake. There's no embarrassment or anything like that. He sits down while she's half naked, turns around, gives her a cigarette. She sits up. They have a conversation like adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. It becomes clear at some point they've developed into an actual romantic relationship. There's no fanfare. There's no bullshit. It's just...
There's no
we're fucking now.
It's never even mentioned. But it's there's various just the way they act around each other. It's pretty clear that there is real affection between the two of them, and that this is an actual relationship. And it's also been confirmed by the
help that it becomes. If you didn't catch it beforehand, it becomes obvious when Revy comes out of the shower, buck ass naked with Rock in the living room.
Yes.
And there's no reaction.
Right. And it's also been confirmed by the mangaka, the author, basically has said, they hooked up in Japan. They're a couple. It's just not important to the story.
No, and it doesn't get in the way of the story either. There's never that moment, other than the fact that they care for each other. And during that whole standoff with Balalaika, Revy did pull guns as well.
Oh yeah, she's got one train on Balalaika, one train on her sergeant, who's also got a gun drawn. Because Revy's got a gun drawn.
And Revi's desperately trying to talk her down.
Yeah.
Because Balalaika is someone she basically considers a big sister almost.
Yeah. Often refers to as sis.
Yep.
But other than that sort of situation, it's not a case of, they're going out and doing stupid suicidal things to protect each other, because again, that's not the people they are.
Right.
Well,
it's not.
Revi
well,
does
they would
go
also both be utterly insulted that the other would pull that kind of bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Revi does go to save Rock when he gets kidnapped in the last arc of the first season with the documents.
Yes.
Yes.
And she lies to Shenhua about the fact that Rock still got the documents because she has them.
Right.
Because Revi is actually fairly smart.
Revi has very particular type of intelligence. It's very focused in certain areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's like, no, I'm going to go rescue Rock because he's part of my crew.
Because Revi's elected. I'm going to go rescue Rock because I'm not going to let some shithole Fark wannabes fuck with one of my people. That's
my job.
Sure.
Yeah. But at that point,
I don't have any emotions beyond this. Let's go murder some people.
At that point in the season, at that point in the series, it didn't feel like it was she's gonna go save him because she loves him sort of bullshit. It was just a case of, well, I'm kind of responsible for him being here. He's part of my crew. Fine.
Well,
Plus there was some dude that shot me earlier and I didn't kill him, so
Yeah. Well, it's also clear that she cares very deeply for him at this point.
Yeah.
She just can't admit it to anyone, including herself.
Also, she's not doing something particularly suicidal. She's going in for a quick rescue and get out.
Yeah.
And that's how she approaches it, and she does a really good job at it because Revi's really good at this sort of thing.
It's a smash and grab, and Remy is good at smash and grabs. It's just that instead of jewels or documents or whatever, it just happens to be a dude.
Right. But yeah, the Gangland Paradise arc's really good, and then the final thing with the OVAs is where Roberta comes back, and shit really hits the fan all over the place.
Oh yes.
Roberta loses whatever's left to her sanity in that and goes on a rampage. It's called Roberta's Blood Rampage.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
and
definitely...
as much as
sorry.
As much as there are, the Terminator over themes in the original arc. If you've ever watched Predator,
yeah,
good God, it's not as blatant and scene stealing, but there are sections of this I'm just thinking, okay, yeah, they're basing it on all the biggest movie badasses.
Oh yeah. There's a bit of John Rambo in her also.
Oh yes.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's very much pulling a Rambo.
First Blood specifically.
Yeah.
She's gone nuts.
The good one.
But
wait,
yeah,
was First Blood?
That's First Blood.
The first one.
Yes, it's First Blood. Rambo's not even remotely in the title.
Right. Yeah. First Blood is the good one, and then the others kind of.
It's the second one's Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the important bit. This is the OVA. The Roberta's Blood Rampage arc is where Rock has fully develops into what he is. It's sort of the end of Rock's sort of journey, really.
Yeah.
And he basically orchestrates one of the most amazing, unbelievably manipulative, just Machiavellian scheming plans to get the job done. And he's desperately trying to while he's doing all this, he's trying to make Ronipur a little bit less awful.
Yeah.
And whether he succeeds or not is what you have to figure out by watching it, and you kind of have to decide on your own if he did or not. But he does a brilliant job, and you find out a lot of really interesting backstory stuff in this about various things. You find out, who the real behind the scenes big players in Ronipur are, because it's like throughout the entire series, it's very clear Hotel Moscow is like the big. They're, as Erica said, they're a force of nature. They are the storm. They're the big fish. But it's also like you sort of start seeing that maybe the Triad, specifically Chang, are sort of the driving force, the hidden sort of power in Ronipur.
Yeah,
Or is there someone?
Chang's the one that sort of he's the glue that holds it together.
Yeah, Chang's the I won't say the tactician, so to speak. You know, the he's not really the tactics behind the leadership, so to speak. But if Hotel Moscow are the military force that are in charge, his is very much the I almost want to say diplomatic side of, you know, they're in charge because they're the political things. You know, they twist and turn and get everything how they want it to be. They think they're playing everyone else.
Oh, Chang's the grand strategist, and Balak is a tactician. Is what
Well,
it boils
yeah,
down to.
that's what I meant. Yeah, so that's the yeah.
And
Yeah,
you get
that's
to
an
see
excellent way to
there
put it.
are other people also operating behind the scenes who are doing things, which again, not going to spoil things because it's actually really interesting. And you get to see Rock figuring out a lot of this stuff. And, you know...
Never being as dumb as some other people
Yes.
when he puts two and two together.
No, dear God, he puts two and two together and survives because he's not a fucking moron. It's also pretty clear Rock's becoming something of a player in Ronipur also on his own.
Yeah.
Because he's actually, you know, his plan involves, you know, maneuvering Hotel Moscow subtly. That takes
Yeah, he basically
doing.
plays. Yeah, he basically plays. He plays them like. I don't want to say plays them like a fiddle, because it's more like something big and heavy, determined by inertia, and once unleashed, you can't stop it.
It's like leading, you know, it's well, quite, you know, figuratively, it's leading the bear to the meat and then letting it be its bear, be a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's,
you know what I mean. He makes sure that it doesn't know who's sending it in that direction, but it's going to get there.
Well, he started an avalanche by rolling a pebble.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really that arc is impressive and really cool. And that sort of mostly covers, I mean, the show.
Yeah.
I do want to mention one thing, which is this is as unsurprisingly based on a manga. The manga does continue on a little bit from this point, but then the author went on hiatus in 2014. Yeah, not been back yet.
No. Which is a shame, because I'll admit I would like to see more with these characters. I mean, if you look for them, there are a few little one-shot comedy bits they've done.
They're hilarious, actually.
Yeah, some
the
of them
Omake
are
things
great.
are hilarious.
The Omakes, are just like one-shots. A lot of them are what-if kind of things. Which they're all fucking weird. I mean, there's one where Rock wakes up one day and everyone's been gender switched, just because. That's as far as it goes. There's another one where he wakes up and everyone's a different age. So we meet him and Revi roughly around about the same high school kind of age. What was it? We meet Bella Lyka as like a 5-year-old, as we've already seen her in the show due to a flashback. We meet this one incredibly stunning, hot, you know, teacher type woman who's like everyone's glaring at, and they kind of, who the hell are you? And it turns out it's the old woman that's running the church. It's Yolanda back in her day.
I haven't seen these. I'm going to track them down now.
They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
And one of the best bits about that particular one is like, okay, well, I've seen you. Where's Dutch? And it's like, Revi goes here, hands him a phone. It's like Dutch's message, like, I know where this shit's going. I'm having none of it. See you later.
There's another one where they're all actors they're the actors. They're the actors for the show.
Yeah.
So like it's like Black Lagoon is an actual television show, and then the actors, you know, who play the characters,
Playing their parts, yeah.
And like, you see them as the actors, and like I forget it's been a while since I've seen that one, but they're all obviously very different.
Yeah, they're worth looking up though. They're really good.
So
yeah, I'm gonna have to check this down now.
Oh, you definitely do, Eric. So final thoughts on the show. I'll go first. I love Black Lagoon. It's a lot of fun. It's not a typical show, not sort of the typical type of show I generally love, but the action is great. The character writing is fantastic, and it's just the characters are all really compelling. So the fact that it's as bleak as it is doesn't really faze me as much as it could. And there's this sort of weary, sort of very faint little bit of optimism that's managed to survive here and there throughout the show, which sort of keeps it afloat. Also, Rock being who Rock is really helps.
Yeah.
Also, Balalaika is fucking amazing. She's just one of the most compelling, horrible people I've ever seen in anime.
Yeah, Balalaika is great. I guess I'll go next for. I really like the show. Also, it's bleaker than I remember, but that's not as much of a turnoff for me as it is for Peter. Go figure. There isn't a certain requisite amount of misery in my shows, then I've clearly chosen wrong. But the characters are all very compelling. I really love the relationship as it develops. Watching the relationship between Revy and Rock develop, and not romantically at all, just the way they orbit around each other. The animation is, for the most part, pretty good and gets pretty high quality, particularly for the time period during any action scenes. The action is all beautifully blocked and done and shot. Is shot a thing you use in animation? I'm going to use it.
Framed.
It's effectively,
Yeah.
it is effectively shot. Effectively.
Yeah, and it's. And like I said, it's remarkably accessible just because you can just drop into wherever in the show and then drop it for a while and come back later. And there aren't any overarching plots that you're missing. I love me some good overarching plots, but they can be tedious sometimes. Looking at you, Attack on Titan. But yeah, I really like the show. Go figure, it's my recommendation.
And Gav?
Yeah, well, this for me it's one of those, it's like, okay, anime is one of those things that it's escapism. So, to a certain extent, things can happen in anime that just cannot happen in real life. In any, you can explore all sorts of weird things and do this and that and other. But this is a very real show. This could quite easily be shot for TV. In real live action. Yeah. No problem. The relationships are real. They're not, like I say, they're not turned dialed up to 11 like they normally are in these sort of animes and these sort of stories. There's no, or the power of friendship, the power of love, or all that bullshit. It's like I say, it's that level of realism that you don't often get. But yeah, I mean, like I say, dark, dour, quite depressing, but then has those little shining moments of comedy, humor, and every once in a very rare while, sometimes things turn out okay.
Yeah.
Just. As long as you're willing to change your, level of what counts as okay.
Dude, Nazis ended up dead. That's always okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it goes downhill from there. That was the first arc. But yeah, no, like I say, I enjoyed this so much that, like you say, we watched the second series, we watched the OVAs, I found the Omakis, and then I want more. So, I would like to see where these characters go further. They're horrible for the most part. They're all horrible people. But I want to see, I want to see more.
Yep. So that was Black Lagoon. Thanks for watching, listening, etc. If you're listening to this on YouTube, feel free to hit like and subscribe. That way you know when new episodes go live. I will be uploading these things slowly to Podcast Garden. I'll include a link in the description. So on and so forth. We record the show live on hitbox.tv/mecha-gm. We record on Monday nights usually, starting at 7 p.m., but week by week it'll vary. We don't record every week, so keep an eye. But if you want to know when we're going to be recording, keep an eye on my Twitter. I tweet it out when we're going to be doing this. My Twitter handle is @MechaGM. If you want to find Gav, he's @SonicGav with a K. And Eric is not on the internet.
The internet is not real.
Nope.
It is not where I get all my entertainment. It's becoming more and more true. I don't think I've actually watched TV in years.
And you guys will be next time we're going to be covering Gav's recommendation, which is Ride Back. Should be interesting. But anyways, until we see you guys next, I'm Peter. This is Eric.
Motorcycles with robot arms.
And Gav.
Yeah. You knew damn well it was going to be a matter of time before I went back to giant robots.
They're not that giant this time.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.